All right. So who's joining us Saturday?
I am.
Yay. Nice, John. We have
Yeah.
lots of earning. We have lots of RSVPs. We're going to be in person in each market center's training room, with the exception of, I don't know if we have anybody on here from there, downtown LA. They're having a planned power outage in that building. So we cannot use that building. So they are going to Porter Ranch because they're not that, or whatever's closest, but most of them are going to Porter Ranch. So, all right. So, what is on the minds of everybody today?
I have a question.
Okay.
As far as a follow-up voicemail or text that works, I mean that's got a good something that you can say to get a good percentage of a response back.
Okay. In what context are you asking?
Um, as prospecting, I mean, as far as making a call, I mean, I know I get more responses by leaving a message than as far as people that this is sphere of influence but not good friends, you know.
Mhm.
And like when I don't know, I mean, is there a percentage? It seems like I get more people calling back with a decent message, but then
Well,
good friends or people that I'm good friends with that I haven't talked to, I won't leave a message because then they'll see my name and they'll call me back. Like, ooh, what's Ernie got? He's
yeah.
calling me. You know what I mean?
So, with sphere of influence, and that's the reason I asked, because there's different ways to handle different things, right? So, if you're calling your sphere of influence, you can either not leave a message, or you can just say, hey, Ernie, this is Jody. I was just calling to see how you're doing. I know you're probably busy. Don't worry about calling me back. I'll give you a call in a couple days and check in on you, right? Take the pressure off of them having to return your call when
Hmm.
it's somebody that you know. And then it's not like, oh man, depending on who it is and whatnot. Um, but still, they're hearing that message, right? They're hearing your name. And so it's still bringing top of mind. But then try to call them back in a couple days. And if they don't answer, don't bother leaving a message, right? Because they know at that point they're expecting you to call back. If they can, they'll answer. If they can't, they've seen your name now twice, right? And if you're continuing with your quarterly calls, then you should be good. And if a need comes up, they'll call you. If you're calling a lead, open house lead, Facebook lead, almost any kind of lead that is not your sphere, I actually don't recommend leaving a voicemail in the beginning. Continue to try to call them back, right? And then once you've done that, where you've tried to get a hold of them 3 or 4 times, you've done a couple phone calls, a text, maybe an email. Then, like on the fourth or fifth time that you call them, maybe even the third, depending on the circumstances, leave a message. And there is a copy of this in the PC toolkit, but leave a message, something to the effect of, hi, this is Jody with Keller Williams. I was just trying to get a hold of you because you had shown interest in ABC, right? Um, I certainly don't want to bug you, and I want to make sure you're being helped. So please give me a call back and let me know one way or the other, right? It's like, if you still have a real estate need, I want to help, but I also don't want to bug you. So please give me a call back and let me know one way or the other. I kind of said that weird when I first said it. But there's eloquent wording in the PC toolkit.
Yeah. I just remembered like a little flashback from a seminar or something that I heard, or it might have been an LP. But if I don't, to finish with, if I don't hear from you, I'll call you back or something like that. Like if I don't hear from you, I'll give you a call back in the next couple days. Sort of like you said at the beginning of it, leave it, get him off the hook, but
Mhm.
saying, "Oh wow, you know what? I probably should call him back because I haven't responded." So if I don't hear from you, or I think I something like that, but
Well, again, it depends on who you're talking to, right? If
right,
you're talking to Sphere, just let them off the hook.
hmm,
Don't make them feel like they have to call you back,
right,
right? But if it's a lead, you can say something like that. So that way they know you're going to continue to call, right? So if they don't want you to, maybe they'll answer the phone the next time and tell you to stop, which is, kind of a bummer and kind of a good thing too, right? If they really don't want to hear from you, because now you're not wasting your time.
Mhm.
But then that's definitely after a few times good to leave, if you have to leave a voicemail, to leave the one that you want to help them and you don't want to bug them. So let me know one way or the other.
Okay.
Good questions.
Hmm.
Hey, Sebastian. All
But
right.
you said there's this one in the script in the PC toolkit.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah. We're going to be putting some new things in there soon. I would say within the next 3 or 4 weeks, we're going to completely revamp that. All the cool stuff that you need still going to be in there, but we're going to be adding some new good things too, and make it even easier to find the things that are in there. A lot of times we just add, we throw in and forget that, if you're not the one that created it, it's not as easy to find. So that's something that we're aware of and going to be working on in the next few weeks.
Okay. And then what's your did you change your website or do you have the website anymore or
Website?
yeah, to like the training site?
That's the same. As a matter of fact, though, we are also revamping that, and we should have a new one that has more videos, shorter videos to the point. Any fluff is being pulled out, and we're
Mhm.
just getting to the point. And that should be released within the next 2 weeks. We have some things to finish up on it.
Okay.
So, those of you that are in the current one, you can continue going. The information is still good. Um, or you can wait till the next one. But if you're really all the way, a lot of the way through, don't wait till the next one. Just keep going where you're at. Okay. All right. All right. Anything else that somebody specifically needs to mastermind around today? No, everything's going great. Everybody has lots of appointments and you're getting a hold of everybody and you've got your goals are close to being reached.
Mm.
Okay, let me ask a question. How many of you have already made, this is Thursday at noon. How many of you have already made at least 35 calls or had 35 real estate conversations this week? Hey, Jeff, Val, good job. So if you're in this business full time, you should be having a minimum of 10 conversations a day. And if you're not having 10 conversations a day, you're likely not going to reach the goals that you've set for yourself. Okay. So it's super important that you're having as many conversations as possible and that you're tracking those conversations, right? We have you fill out, you get sent that link once a week and we ask you how many you're having and we pull that up in group coaching and there's a reason for that. After a while, you'll see the activities that you do are going to start producing results. If those activities are not producing results, what do we need to do differently? Or maybe more of, or less of, so that we can be spending our time wisely. So we definitely don't get 100% of everything we don't ask for.
Say that
And
again.
Jody, can I just say something real fast? Because I know like I'm doing caravan, I'm in the office, I'm going to meetings, I'm working command, but I'm not keeping track of any of it. Like I don't sit down and go, I wake up to my calendar and it's like, okay, this is what you're doing today. But I know like I'm having those calls and I'm not, it's almost a distraction to me to sit there and go, okay, 1, 2. And I know you guys like that weekly form. But I guess I'm asking as words of encouragement, like maybe how to be a little bit better about tracking every little like, okay, yeah, I just talked to so and so and I just had another. So help me with that because I'm not a good tracker, but I know I'm doing the work. So
okay. Well, here's the thing. I'm really glad that you brought that up. So, does everybody know what I'm talking about with the tracker? Or would you like to see a sample of one on the screen?
Yeah, it would help. I mean,
Okay.
I've seen it
So,
before, but I mean,
so I'm going to pull up just
I'm
a
the
blank
same.
tracker.
Yeah, I'm the same situation.
Okay. And we're going to go through this and you're going to see why this is important. But before I do that, I want to present a scenario to you. Okay. And I think we've recently even talked about this scenario in Mastermind. So forgive me if it's a repeat and it bears repeating. Okay. Especially if this question is coming up and I'm seeing heads nod with this question, right? Okay. You are all a business owner right now. If you have a real estate license and you are practicing real estate, you are a business owner. Would you open up any business and pour money into it and not know what you needed to survive? Not know what dollars you need to have come in? If you were to open up a brick and mortar store, right? And you have overhead and you have things to pay for, how would you know what you need to do on a daily basis in order to pay the expenses of that business? And one of the easiest ones when we talk about tracking to talk about is a restaurant, right? If you owned a restaurant and you had a menu with, say, 20 different things, and 3 or 4 of them sell really well, and you know that they're regulars and they're like you sell out all the time, and 3 or 4 of them you hardly sell anything of, and the others are just kind of hit and miss, whatever, right? When it comes time to reorder the food that you need and the ingredients you need for your menu, if you don't know how many things you're selling, how do you know what to order? Or you're just going to order because, oh, I think this is selling really good, so I'm going to order a bunch of this, and this one's not selling good, so I'm not going to order this. Then you start having patrons come into the restaurant and, oh, I'm sorry, we ran out of that today. Or you have food start going bad and you have to throw it away, and that's in essence throwing away money too, right? Because you're not tracking. So real estate is no different. And I realized that a lot of people come in and think, oh, why do I have to track this? Why do I have to track that? I'm making calls, I'm doing all these things. But if we don't know what those activities, what results they're causing or not causing, we don't know if we need to adjust anything. Because you always hear us talk about lead gen 2 hours a day, 3 hours a day, call your sphere. Okay. Those are all givens. We know we need to do that. But what if you're doing that and nothing's happening? What if you think you're doing that because you go into the office and you're there for 3 hours and you've made a few phone calls, but you didn't realize how many times people interrupted you with "got a minutes"? Oh, hey, let me show you this. Oh, did you hear about that? And you thought you were super busy because you were on the phone, but it turned out you really only made 4 phone calls, right? If we don't track, we don't know. So I'm going to pull up a sample of a tracker that we give to all agents who have one-on-ones with a coach. And when you're in momentum, you have the opportunity to have a monthly, and in growth, an opportunity to have a bi-weekly, and then as you continue on, weekly one-on-one coaching. And this is how we get insight into being able to help you as well. So let me, let's see, where are we? Here it is. I'm just going to pull up a blank one here. Okay. Here we go. So on a tracker, you'll notice that we have conversations. There's a row for conversations. So how many did you have in that week? Did you have 10? Did you have 40? Did you have 60? Right? How many new leads did you get? So maybe you did an open house. Maybe you did a Facebook ad. These are new leads. How many people did you add to command this week? How many listing appointments did you set? Oops, we got to open this. How many listing appointments did you set? Buyer appointments did you set? How many of those did you actually hold? Of the ones held, how many listings did you take or buyer representation agreements did you get signed? how many closed, right? And then your total GCI. All of you have goals, whether most of you have financial goals or goals around a number of families that you want to help based on financial goals or whatever, however you figured out your goal, right? So everything from, say, this column to the left, that's activities that you're doing, and especially C, D, and E columns. These are the activities that are leading to the results. So if you think you're having 50 conversations a week and you look at this over time, you realize, oh, I'm only having 18 conversations a week. Well, now we know we probably have to have more conversations, right? What if we're having 50, 60 conversations a week, but no appointments are being set? Maybe we need to look at our conversations.
Conversion.
What are we saying in our conversations, right? Same thing if we're setting appointments. Say we're setting an appointment every week, but they're not following through and being held. How are we handling the setting of the appointment, the confirming of the appointment? And then if we're holding appointments, but we're not taking listings and we're not getting buyer's representation agreement signed, how can we improve in our appointments to be able to make that happen? So everything that we track is tracked for a reason, because this gives not just coaches, if we're coaching you one-on-one, but it also personally gives you insight into your own personal business. Because I can tell you from experience and from lots of other agents' experiences, and this is not to say, Michelle, you or anyone's not doing what you're supposed to be doing, but a lot of people think they're busier than they really are. And it comes from going into the office and having the Gotta minutes and, oh, I made so many phone calls today, but turns out, 3 of those phone calls were because somebody called me and I ended up chatting for 15 minutes and got off track. And then, oh, so really I made maybe 5 sphere calls. That's why we track. Because otherwise we will have no idea what we're missing in our business. The other thing is, it's also a positive tool, right? What's working really well so you can do more of that and less of the things that aren't working. So it's not just looking for the gaps, it's also looking for the things that are going really well. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Does that help?
Absolutely. No, I appreciate that. And I love the restaurant analogy because I can relate to that. And I think that's a good one. So thank you.
You're very
I think,
welcome.
Michelle, what helps me
Oh.
is to focus more on the 1-3-5 first and then focus on the tracker. Because for me, it helps to have just, I don't know, just look at all the different goals for the month. And then kind of Jodi, do you want me to share mine real quick?
Sure.
Let's see. Let's see. Yeah. So last week I came short on my conversations, but it kind of helps to, I don't know, it just kind of helps me to have all the different things in this that I want to reach, that week, and also letters that I send, and just kind of track everything a little bit, and appointments. And then at the end of each week, I kind of use this to put that in the tracker then. Because I feel like this one is a little more abstract, and just looking at numbers is a little too, I don't know, it's a little too abstract. And for me, it always helps to kind of write out all the things I want to do, but then also track just the conversations. I don't know.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So let me real quick on that. So you put, like you said, 21-30. You put the 30 in there, and then that week, and then do what you really do. So you got 21. So did you have the 30 in there? You're working on 30 a week.
Yeah, so 30 is my minimum. And so let's see, the month before, so the 30 is the goal. And then here it was 47 out of 30. Here it was just 21 out of 30. And then 1 appointment is the goal, but here I had 2, and there I had 0, and there I had 1. Just kind of like with open houses too, like my goal is 3 open houses a month. But some month maybe I do 4, and another month I do 2 or 1, and it kind of helps to, I don't only want to track if I don't hit my goal. I also want to track if exceed my goal one month, and then maybe I'm coming short another month. So that
course.
helps me. And then I take that and put that into the whole month, and then into the tracker.
Right.
Yeah, and that's great too, because when you do one-on-ones with us, we are looking at that business plan and that 411, right?
Mhm.
And this, I like that you shared this, Val, because having the 411, meaning everything that you're going to do for the month and for the week, but not pre-planning a month of weeks, right? We're
Right.
looking at
Yeah.
the week, because if we're going to have 30 conversations this week, but we only had 20, well, to stay on track next week, we need to have 40, right? Or 35 and 35. So
Exactly. And my
yeah,
problem, like last week, my open house got canceled. So I'm gonna have to make up for that and on another week, because last week we had the crazy rain, so it got canceled. But then, it doesn't mean that because last week I came short, I can't make up for that. For me, it helps to kind of look at the total month and plan the month so that I don't feel like I'm short one week and that was it. I failed. It's like, okay, I was short last week, but I can just make up for it next week.
yeah, absolutely. And that's how you can help stay on track of on top of your goals. But then the tracker with the numbers of your activity. So if Val's breakdown is 30 conversations a week, is what all the numbers are telling her she needs to have for her goal. By tracking the number of conversations, and if they're averaging 30 or more and it's still not happening, then we know we need to raise the 30, right? Or if it's 30 or more and everything's happening, then we know she's on track. And so every so often, we want to be looking at this to adjust. Just because we set a goal at the beginning of the year doesn't mean we don't ever adjust it. And tracking helps us be able to do that.
You know what? I just had a little, I mean, it also keeps you or gets you accountable and gets you to where you can help you to get your routine. So that really helped right there, Val. I appreciate that because it's I take it for granted. Just like I know, and then when we come to the meeting in the week, I go, okay, wait, how many did I do? And I go through my head. Yeah, I called these guys, these guys, these guys. But if it was on there, I'd have it would be there, and me having to write it down will keep me accountable as
Well,
well.
and sometimes it goes in the other direction too. Like I had 2 weeks where I had two appointments, and uh, and then I had another weekend where I didn't have one, but I wasn't short because I don't know. Like sometimes it helps me celebrate the wins too, because
Mm.
uh, I don't know if it doesn't say that somewhere, I'll forget that I had a really good week another week, and it took me a while to fix because I was really bad with tracking the first couple of months. And I think it's just different. I'm very visual. So for me, it helps to have the 1, 3, 5 and see everything in front of me and then translate it into the numbers. And the numbers are great for the deeper, like deep dive analysis. But for me, I have to kind of visually see it first, but I think everyone's different, I would just try to figure out whatever system for tracking works for you. And if it's tallying things on your phone, then that's great. For me, it happens to be this visual thing. But just figure out which system works best for you.
Well, but
I, I
that
think
we're
for
all
me too, one of the, I do mine on paper, right? So I've got my paper in front of me that I'm making my tick marks and then I feed it into something. But I think for me, not unlike, I'm one of those people that tracks my steps, right? And if I'm not reaching my goal every day, I'm out at 10:30 at night walking around the park because I want those steps in. I can't stand that not being done. And this kind of works in the same way for me. I needing to see that completion is sometimes just the motivation that I need to make one more call on my way home or to, whatever it may be. So it definitely, I resisted at first, but it definitely helps me stay on track.
I love that.
I love that your phone can track your steps for you. If I could just have my phone track my calls and
Exactly.
clients, I'd be great.
So
Well,
true.
actually,
So
your phone
true.
can track your calls. You can go back into your recent calls
There
and
you
count
go.
up
End
the
of the
ones you've
day.
called.
And I'll oftentimes, like, I have my notepad and I just check little check marks on my notepad, and then at the end of the day or at lunch or whatever, when I did my morning stuff, then I transfer it into the Excel sheet. Sometimes that's just quicker and easier.
You want to know another way too that some people will do, and I see your question, Melissa. Another something that people will do is they'll have like a jar, 2 jars, right? People use popsicle sticks, pencils, paper clips, Hershey's Kisses, you name it. You can pennies, you can use whatever you want, right? But put them in a jar, however many conversations you need to have that day, and have an empty one next to it. Or it can be a bowl, it could be whatever works, right? And every time you have one, move one over. And you know you're not done till the first jar is empty.
That's
So
great.
it doesn't matter how you track things, it matters that you track things, right? So for those of you, to answer Melissa's question about finding it, I don't think we actually have a tracker in the toolkit when I think about it. So I will put a blank one in there for those that want to use it before we have you use it. Because what we have the foundation agents doing is the link that comes to you every week. And then of course we pull that up and share it during group coaching. And you should be keeping track of your numbers to be tracking. But I will put a blank one in there so that if you want to track that, you can. We have the other ones where we share them so that we can see them. But once you get to momentum, then you start getting heavier tracking. We don't want to overwhelm you when you're brand new and learning everything, but we want to get you used to tracking. That's why we send you that link every week to fill out. Make sense?
Mhm.
Awesome.
Yeah, I was gonna say that all of that thrown at me at the beginning would be like, well, wait a minute, that's a bit much. Yeah, but right now it makes total sense. And then another thing that I when I make my calls, I write down who I talked to, and went through, and then now and then I'll input it later, and I never get it done, I never input it later. So I've got 3 or 4 sheets on the 2, 3 days that I've called. So I'm opening my command now, and the people that I'm talking to should be in my command, and then I'm putting in my activity directly in there after I make each call. So I'm slowly getting, and is there a way to go back and look at that? I don't know, but I just got to get organized and figure this
You
crap out.
actually can. You can sort your contacts by last contacted.
Okay.
So
Oh,
if so,
okay. So
like,
when you put in an activity, you can put the filter last contacted. Or
mhm.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
There you
So
go.
that's great. You guys should be having command up as you're making calls and making notes as you go, because I can tell you from my own personal experience, I'll take notes throughout the week with just different meetings. And then when I have to sit and go back and just write it all into command, it's such a pain when you could just take 30 seconds to a minute to do it before you make your next call.
Mm.
Remember, you're not writing a book. You're taking cliff notes to remember your conversation for the next time you call that person.
Well, and then you can set up the task 2 column as well. Like, so if I said I'm going to call you in 3 days, then you can go task,
Yep.
call back 3 days. Bam. Yeah.
Any other thoughts, questions around this?
Good stuff.
All right. What else is on your mind? So let me ask this. Who has had a win in their business recently that you'd like to share with the group? And how did it come about, Mariana?
Hi, I'm a little bit under the weather today, so my voice is really bad. I apologize. So earlier this week, I ended up getting a phone call from someone that is also in the same business that I'm doing separately, but it's someone that I met about a year ago and haven't spoken to him in maybe like 6 to 8 weeks. And he just called me and he had a lot of questions about real estate because he's thinking of moving to Texas. And so it was really nice to know that he thought of me for real estate, his real estate needs and questions and stuff like that. So he's about about a year out for moving, but he wants to get ahead of the game now and prepare himself. So I connected him with a lender that I'm working with, and just kind of started the conversation there. And then I send him my KW app just to kind of, get him interested and excited about it, right? So I thought that was a huge win for me because again, this is someone I haven't spoken in 6 to 8 months probably almost a year. And the fact that he trusted me to come to me for questions and say, hey, you know what, I'm really thinking about making a move. What do you suggest, or what do you think, and stuff like that. He's still, fairly young, but the fact that he's got businesses going already, and he's really pushing forward, that meant a lot to me. And I was just like, wow, that was pretty cool.
That's
So
awesome. Congratulations. Do you have smart plans going for him?
so I wanted to set him up for the biweekly neighborhood nurture, but he hasn't decided yet what neighborhoods he wants to move to, so I couldn't figure that part out. Because he's very like, he's thinking either Houston or Dallas. So he's kind of
Set him up on a couple popular Dallas and Houston neighborhoods. Help him figure it out.
yeah, got it. So I gotta do a little research on that. So
Yeah, don't wait for him. Take the initiative, and you never know, that could help him make the decision. Send
So,
him information on Houston. Send him information on Dallas.
well, is it too early to find an agent in that area and refer him?
No, not at all.
I mean, because that's basically you're not gonna be handling the transaction out there. So that'd probably be the best thing. So you at least got a monetary lock on that,
Yeah,
'Cause like so
absolutely.
they'll get through the network and find a top producer out there and hook him up and have him start searching about neighborhoods because they know the area better and everything, and then you'll at least get money out of it. Because if he just goes out there on his own, you can't do any transactions. So
All righty.
is this his first time buying or does he own here?
first time buying. So
Okay,
yeah.
Awesome.
cool.
And staying in touch with him up through the point where he's ready, he can become a referral resource for you as well.
Yeah, and I have a question about that real quick. So if this is obviously going to be a referral, right? Do I need to sign anything aside from a referral form with him first? Like
So the referral fee agreement is between you and the other agent. It's technically between each broker. So
Mhm.
you would fill out the referral form, have your broker sign it, and then send it to the agent that you choose on that end and have their broker sign it. And I would definitely go ahead and send a referral form to somebody, and I would mark like within 24 months since it's a year out. And then that way you can get that connection going with them.
Yeah, but I don't need to sign like something with the client first or anything like that. Like, okay.
How could you lock him in though, Jody, so he doesn't go to somebody else?
By
Just
connecting him to the agent. And then it's going to be, make sure you connect him to somebody who's going to stay in touch with him.
well,
So
I mean, you could still take like you can both work with him, right? Like, I mean, you can still stay in touch with him because it's out of state and you're
Yeah, in
referring.
this case, you're probably going to want to wait till you're narrowed down to where he's going, because I would probably hold on to it and not send a referral until I know where he's going, and then I would connect him with the agent where he's going as soon as possible to start that relationship, because starting that relationship with that agent while he's still here in relationship with you, that's going to help solidify that he uses the agent that you're referring him to get that referral fee.
Right. Good stuff.
All righty.
And can I just ask, what is the kind of the standard referral fee?
Okay, so I don't know if that's going to become an issue like some other things. So I won't say that there is a standard referral fee, but when I ask for a referral fee or give a referral fee, I like 25%.
Mhm. Yeah.
There's different circumstances where it might be a little more, a little bit less. Those are completely negotiable. We have to be careful
Yeah.
about that. And you guys realize, I'm sure that in every market center, I've heard it being talked about all over the place. You guys understand that we cannot say that our commissions are standard. Oh, we can't use words like historically or things like that. You can say what your fee is and why that's your fee.
Can we say Jody said?
No.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
No, you can't. Because Jodi said that all commissions are negotiable.
That's exactly right.
However, Jodi does charge a 6% commission on all of her transactions because she's a full service agent and that's her choice to do so.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Jody,
be
I don't.
really careful with
Oh,
that wording with people. Because we don't, and to be clear, even though we've had to have some talk around this,
mhm,
and I know it came up in one of the groups this past week. I know we've had to have some conversations around this. Here in California, we're very protected with all the forms we have. We're probably the only state in the nation that has as many forms as we have, and it protects us. And we have all the proper verbiage in our forms. We just have to be careful what we're verbally saying, right? So it's all there. We're good. I can pretty much guess that 99% of what we do won't change in any way based on anything.
mhm,
I'm not
mhm.
saying that as a fact. I'm saying that is my educated guess. All good questions though. Okay. So, who's super comfortable about asking for the buyer representation agreement every time you have a buyer consultation?
Me.
We have one person. Oh, two, three. Okay. Should
I
you be getting a buyer representation agreement from every buyer that you meet with and work with?
Yes.
Yes, especially now.
So I had just kind of a thought on that. And being a brand new agent, I don't know what historically what was done. So kind of one of the benefits of being brand new is that's how I'm going to start my business. I'm just going to be asking for that because I don't know any other way, and that seems to be the best thing right now, in terms of ensuring some kind of commission.
I absolutely love that you said that. That is the right way to do it. And if you've never done it any other way or don't know about it, just do it, right? We can't take a listing without a listing agreement. Years ago, I had an agent that I coached in Tulare County, and she was very nervous about having buyer consultations. And she was even more nervous about asking for the buyer representation agreement. And so I challenged her and told her that she had to do it. And she agreed. She took the challenge. She committed to doing it. The buyer's consultation went so well and the agreement was signed so easily that that just became part of her system. And she's never done one again without doing that. And she doesn't lose people for it. It's just part of what's done. It's how she sets the expectation.
Mhm.
So
So I real quick, I had a guy uh and he changed his mind, didn't want to buy for a while now, but he literally thought once we talked and said that I was going to help him, he said, "Okay, are you going to send over that contract?" So he literally thought that there was a contract that needed to be signed. So it's I can't believe it hasn't been a way of business, you know, it took this long for people to start thinking it's a way of business because I mean the first time you take somebody out for 6 houses, which had happened to me, and it was a relative, believe it or not, look for all these houses, search for it, take them out on a Saturday and show them these houses and all that stuff, and then end up them going with the freaking listing agent on another house the next week. It's like never again. Never again. And I put out a lot of work, and then they have the nerve to ask me for advice after they get into a contract, and it's like, but once that happens, and I've heard it from every agent that's been around that didn't do it. I've had that happen, but it just seems like it's a way of business, like we talked about. Lawyers do it, doctors do it, everybody does it. So we should just flat out turn that contract around and say, okay, this is our next step.
yeah, it's what you're supposed to do. And
Mhm.
anybody that's not doing it is not doing your business to the best of your ability. It's not, you're not giving this the proper service, you're not doing your job correctly, right?
Mhm.
Um, now with the changing of it being, because we used to have 3 different buyer representation agreements. Now it's one. Everything is encompassed from those 3 into this one, depending on what box you check. I recommend checking the exclusive box, right? So that's the buyer's representation agreement we always used before. I did put a new one in the toolkit. It's very difficult to put a sample of that in the toolkit with having to change some of our wording. But you should be narrowing some things down in there instead of leaving it wide open, kind of like we used to do when it comes to working with in an area. You're going to want to put the cities or the counties that you're working in, right? Because they could be working with you in your county, and they could be working with an agent, 6 hours away in California to move to, and so they'll have an agreement with them on that end, right? So and that would be a common situation with an investor buyer or something. So you do want to have a little bit more detail in there. And as far as amount, I recommend putting in an amount a bit over what they're actually qualified for, because they could have cash that they're going to pay more. So I definitely would make that more than what they're even qualified for. And then we do recommend at this point going ahead and putting in a commission that they owe you if the transaction closes. However, you need to let them know that this is just standard procedure. And most of the time, if not almost all of the time, the seller actually pays this fee. But in the event that somebody doesn't, this would be your responsibility. I will, and let them know. You'll always let them know before they see a house if the seller has agreed to pay that fee, right? And so say you put, for sake of argument, say you put 3% in the BRBC, and the house they're purchasing, the seller is offering 2.5%. Okay. You can, and you don't have to hold them responsible for that additional 0.5%. Right? I personally wouldn't. But and that's just part of, we're only putting a dollar amount in there as a protection based on recent events. We're almost never going to need it.
So that there has been some zeros on some listings lately. And just a couple of people showed it up. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, and I've heard of a couple areas where that's happened. It's not going to happen most of the time. I don't think that's going to be super common. Because here's the thing, when you're taking a listing, guys, you need to be setting the stage with your sellers. If it's business as usual, okay, we're not going to do anything different than we've ever done, and we're not going to change our conversations around oh, by the way, because there was a lawsuit, you have the option, right? That's all in the agreements. It's the fee is 6%. I give half of that to the buyer side. And it's so that we can get your home sold in the shortest amount of time for the most amount of money with the least amount of hassle. Right? If they question it, then you go into talking about it. But if they don't question it, you move forward, business as usual.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something that you see in the MLS, is that correct? I still don't have access to the MLS, since I don't have my number yet, but that's something that is showing up in MLS, Ernie?
Yes. The
Okay.
MLS will always have what the seller
This-
is offering to the buyer's agent.
Okay, all right.
Mm-hmm.
In my
Yeah,
area,
how long is it taking to get your number now? That's crazy. You gotta wait.
It's been like a month and a half.
you should be close.
So yeah, I think my dad just got his and I sent my application in 5 to 7 days after, so it should be very close.
Okay.
Awesome. All right. Any other thoughts, questions, comments around that? So when you do present a buyer's representation agreement, the best way to do it is after your buyer consultation, literally just saying, okay, great. all we have to do now, so I can go to work for you, is have you sign the buyer's representation agreement and either have it pre-done before your consultation and turn it around and give it to sign, have it on your iPad or computer to sign electronically, or just email it to them and have them sign it that way. Don't make a big deal about it. This is just how we do business. You can't take a listing without a listing agreement. Don't work with a buyer without a buyer agreement. If they question it, just let them know this is, a loyalty agreement, because I'm going to give my best for you to find you just the right home in the shortest amount of time, best price, and negotiate the best price for you with the least amount of hassle. And so this allows me to do that.
And it's beneficial to both of us because there's no questions.
But here's the thing. Here's the key, guys. When somebody asks you a question and you have to say something along the lines of what I just said, right? Stop talking.
Mm-hmm.
Don't then go into 3 other reasons why they should sign this, because now you're talking yourself out of it. When somebody has an objection to anything, you answer the objection clearly and concisely and stop talking. You don't go into every objection handler that you've learned that's in the PC toolkit, that's on Keller Williams Connect. Don't do that. Answer the objection at hand. Shut up. Okay? Because I can't tell you how many times, and I promise you, the first time you ever have to really handle an objection, and come back and share if this happened, you're just going to throw up at the mouth. Don't do that. Because that's how we talk ourselves out of it. Okay. Good conversation today, guys. Any last thoughts, questions, comments? All right, guys. Have a good one.
Thank you, Jodi.
Thank you.